Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Studio 666, starring the band known as the Foo Fighters. You might recognize them, a legendary rock group that people from several generations recognize as one of the best rock bands of all time. So, when a band is around for this long and they're looking to make a movie to coincide with the release of their 10th album, what do? Make a horror film about demonic possession, references to The Shining and Evil Dead, and the main character being the front man as he terrorizes his own bandmates for our entertainment, of course, like you do. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story happens to revolve around Dave Grohl, aka the head man of the Foo Fighters, who's trying to come up with a specific song and a specific sound that can help his band really propel themselves on their way to their 10th album. So when their manager gets them to a certain haunted mansion over in Encino that happened to have a lot of shady incidents happen back in the 1990s, Grohl happens to find the sound that he desperately looked for all this whole time. So, as spooky stuff happens at that mansion, and it turns out that there's some Evil Dead stuff going on in the basement, Dave Grohl and the rest of the band try to make the song, the end of the album that they want, while the bandmates realize that Dave Grohl is going insane in more ways than one. But that's all I'll say about the story here. I will say that the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie are going to be a major turnoff for a lot of people. Not only because it can take a little while to get to the actual good scares and good gnarly kills that the film certainly didn't shy away from showing in the advertising, but the script is pretty shaky and kind of poorly written, in my opinion. Mainly because there are so many profanities that are simply not needed at the start. Now, using the F word is great when it's used properly, in my opinion, or when it's used for comedy that's propelled by a good script. But here, the profanities are used so often and used in place of wit or cleverness to the point where it just felt like the start of the script was getting pretty lazy. But when we get to the actual horror stuff later on in the film, the script gets a lot better, and you can focus a lot more on the great effects used for the kills, as well as the great effects used for demonic possessions, which definitely has a bit of an Evil Dead vibe to it that I really appreciate. Also, the Foo Fighters, not only do they play themselves in this film, but despite the fact that none of them are actors, they certainly have a really good chemistry that helps you get through a lot of this film. You can tell that these guys really work well off each other, but then again, you'd probably also know that if you've been to a concert of theirs. And there are other characters in the film too, one of them being a funny delivery guy played by Will Forte, but most of them are either there to get killed off or there for one-bit jokes, to the point where you know that the focus is mainly on the Foo Fighters. And on top of having some really awesome music, if you're a big fan of theirs, there's also a few Easter eggs hinting at some of their album covers in the past and some of their previous exploits, since the Foo Fighters have been around for several years at this point. Plus, the film also happens to bring up an interesting discussion of how irrelevant rock music is for some people and what the length that people will go to bring relevance to their preferred genre back. But yeah, overall, it is a bit of a mixed bag. While it has a slow beginning and a seriously spotty script, its gory kills, great effects, and the camaraderie between the bandmates do make it worth watching if you're a Foo Fighters fan. That's why I'm going to give it a 6.66 out of 10. See what I did there? See you next time.